So my name is Professor Rinaldi, and I'm the chair of the education program, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have, or just simply tell you the university and what kind of fun we have here. So why don't you tell me what you were hoping to get out of today?
So out of today, pretty much, I just wanted to further go into the experience that I was going to be having at Lasell. I mean, I already pretty much know. I want to go there. I'm going to be going there. So I'm pretty well convinced already.
Good.
So
Good.
I guess in general, right now, my biggest question is how it might work if I were to need to do schooling online for the first semester that I was there.
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. So let me introduce you to one of our fabulous students as well. So Laura Gunning. I don't know if you see her name there. But Laura is an education major, and she's also very active on campus. So she could tell you a little bit of what it's like on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
So Laura, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so hi, my name's Laura. I am currently a junior elementary education major at Lasell. And like Dr. Rinaldi said, I'm kind of all around campus. I work in the admissions office. I've been an orientation leader. This will be my third summer doing that, as well as a slew of different clubs on campus. As far as the education department, it is definitely one of my favorite things about being at Lasell. All of the professors, Dr. Rinaldi, and all of the other professors that you will meet through this department are so supportive. They really get to know you, and they are there to support you throughout your whole educational process, as well as just through your whole Lasell experience. I know Professor Maynard, who's one of my favorite education professors, I was in the musical this year, and she came to see me in the musical. The classes are so amazing because you just get to go through, you start working with students typically the second semester of your first year, and really get that experience, lock in that this is what you want to do, and definitely get the best experience out of coming to Lasell.
Yeah. Well, it's great to meet you first off. I think one question that I have is obviously how much hands-on work you have being in classrooms, like real classrooms, when it comes to teaching students and getting that practice in.
Yeah, so Laura started telling you, so we do have our students go out the first year in the second semester, and you go out for about 25 hours. We want to make sure that you actually like kids and that you could relate to them. So the first experience is working in an after school or volunteering the time, the lab time, 25 hours in an after school. And that time, it's kind of like getting you comfortable, getting you to kind of feel the transition between like a high school student to really being like a teacher. And you get to try out some initial activities after school. That's typically the case. Where are you from, Dickory?
I'm from Concord, New Hampshire, so I'm pretty close.
Yeah, we've had a lot of students from New Hampshire. And you're thinking of what major specifically?
Yeah, probably secondary education.
Okay, so the secondary students in that after-school experience might get a different experience and going to work with an education center or in an after-school at a middle school, so that you get the experience of working with middle school students right away. And then secondary, of course. So yeah, so they start the first year, and then every year after that, so the last 3 years, you're in school between 25 to 50 hours on the sophomore and junior year, and then senior year, you're there 2 days a week, full time in the fall, and 5 days a week in the spring. So you really start teaching in the spring of your senior year every day, like a teacher does. So there is, we have probably twice as many number of hours, but we also have a really cool aspect of it, and Laura could share with you maybe if she's gone through it already. We do have a teaching and a simulation lab called Teach Live.
Yeah, they touched on that.
Yeah, and the Teach Live simulation, it allows our students to, in the first year, try out getting to introduce themselves as a teacher. And then in the second year, they teach a lesson. In the third year, they're doing a parent-teacher conference. And in the fourth year, they're telling parents about where their student is or their child is in terms of academic progress in a simulated sample. So that gives you kind of an opportunity of also not only working with the students, but preparing to work with the students and then preparing to work with the parents. So it's really cool. Laura, have you had any experiences that you could share about Teach Live?
Yeah, we actually just did a Teach Live simulation in my class with Professor Hartman last week. So timing really lines up. And I've done it, of course, in past years as well. And it's helpful because you get to go through what would be the one that I just did was a parent-teacher conference or teaching a lesson. And your professor is right there, any co-facilitators that might be teaching the class, which are current students who have already taken it, who collaborate with the professor. And you're able to kind of go through, teach the lesson. And if you get to a point where you might not know what to do next, or you're a little thrown off, you can say pause simulation, kind of turn to your professor, ask for advice, and then go back to it and resume the simulation. So it's a really great test run to kind of get your feet wet in different aspects of being a teacher, because a lot of times you don't take into account like parent-teacher conferences, or I just did an individualized education plan, Teach Live simulation, things like that. So it's a really great starting point before you go out and do it kind of in the real world.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
So I wanted to address your question of what it might look like if we do go online. And I think Laura started by sharing one of the things we are doing online this semester already, given that we're all home due to this crisis, right? So Laura did Teach Live from her bedroom, probably.
Yes.
And so we are providing simulations even via Zoom, which is one of the ways the product works. So that is one way. The university has not decided. Well, obviously, they're waiting for CDC guidance and talking to, state leaders and deciding what's going to happen. But we are all pretty much ready to go. This last month has been good practice time, and we have a lot of programs that are fully online at the graduate level. So it's been a really easy transition for us. For the faculty, I don't know that it has been as easy for the students because they actually love Campus Live. So I know a lot of them are feeling a little bit lonely, just as I'm sure you are too, missing your senior high school graduation and all the senior events that were planned. Let me bring in Celia is joined us too. So hi, Celia. Can you hear us?
Hello.
All right, Celia, feel free to speak when you can hear us. I see you on our chat, but I don't see you in my Zoom. So when you are able to join us or our chat, just let us know. And Chrissy Honan is here too. Chrissy, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm actually David Honan. This is just my mom's computer.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hi, David.
Hello.
Where are you from, David?
I'm from Concord, Massachusetts.
Oh, so we have Concord, New Hampshire and Concord, Massachusetts. Did you guys arrange this together?
We must have, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, David, and what do you want to major in?
Elementary education.
Fantastic, fantastic. So wonderful. So I don't know if you got to hear a little bit about, and if you have any particular question now that we asked, we answered a couple of them, but do you have any in particular that we can answer for you?
I have a question on the 4+1 master's program.
Sure.
When do you start the master's classes? Of course, the credits for that.
Great question. So yes, so in the junior year, and we actually just had the meeting this week with our juniors, we have an informational meeting that tells you exactly how the program occurs and how we apply for the graduate school in your junior year. And so right now, all our students are completing papers. I think Laura may be part of that group.
I am.
And she could say, good, so you can tell them in a minute. The wonderful thing about the 4+1 is that in senior year, you're able to take in the fall 1 graduate course and in the spring 1 graduate course. Our graduate courses are a little bit different than our traditional classes because they're 8 weeks long. So they're a little bit intense, but you're done in 8 weeks. And they're also hybrid. So 5 of the weeks are fully online, and we prepare you to do that. And then 3 of the days are face-to-face in the evenings. So it's wonderful because you're taking your senior classes, and we get you at the beginning of the 8 weeks in the fall when you're in your full practice, in your pre-practicum in the fall, out in schools 2 days a week. And then the second senior class comes at the end of the spring semester when you've already done the majority of your student teaching or full practicum requirements, thereby taking like 2 times of the semester that are less stressful. And so those 6 credits at the graduate level are part and paid for under your 18 credits per semester option as an undergraduate. So you have the savings of those 6 credits. And then because you're in our undergraduate, we also take 2 reading classes and transfer them as 1 graduate course. And then we take 2 other courses that we focus on universal design for learning. And I could tell you about that if you want, but it's an approach to addressing and planning for instruction by removing all barriers for students. And so we take those 2 classes and bring it in for 1. So basically, by the time you graduate, you bring in 4 graduate courses, which is equivalent of 12 credits, right? And those 12 credits is half of a master's program. And that's how you're able to do it in 5 years, because then the 5th year, you are only taking 14 credits, 16 credits, right? And completing your student teaching semester. So that's how you're able to do it in a 4+1 or the 5th year program. And the other interesting thing of the 5th year program is that we have agreements with Newton Public Schools, Arlington Public Schools, and Boston Public Schools to offer our students paid internships. And the paid internships mean that the school district hires you to work with them full-time as a paraprofessional for the fall semester. And then in the spring semester, they agreed to provide you the opportunity to do the student teaching or full practicum for the new master's level licensure requirement. So you're able to be paid and you're able to complete your requirements within that 1 year. And we now have graduate housing too. So we've had our first students this semester living on campus as graduate students. There were 13 students that lived on campus. So that's really exciting. And I'm going to let Laura kind of share from the perspective of a junior what that 5th year application informational session was like for her. Go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, so I don't know who was here when I introduced myself before. I'm Laura. I'm a current junior elementary education major at Lasell. And like Dr. Rinaldi said, I just attended the 5th year program meeting. The 5th year program has been something that I've kind of been planning to do since I was an incoming student. It was a big selling point to me for Lasell. The information session was super helpful. It goes back to just how supportive everyone at Lasell is. And yeah, we received a lot of the information that Dr. Rinaldi just told you. And as far as the process of applying to it, it's super easy. They make it really easy for you if it is something you're interested in. I'm going into my senior year right now. So it's basically all I have to do to go into the blended semester is what they call it, is fill out a form telling them how many credits I currently have, how many credits I'm going into senior year with, just so that they know I'm not already taking more than 18 and that the graduate course does fit into those credits. And then I just had to get that approved by my academic advisor, and it gets sent over to the registrar. So super easy process. And then once I'm finished with my undergraduate career, that blended semester, then they put you in contact, who I'm already in contact with, Candace, who is really the person that helps you like officially get into that graduate program.
Wonderful. Thank you, Laura. You are an expert. So thank you for that. Zachary or David, do you have any follow-up questions?
No, that sounds amazing though.
Yeah, I didn't know I got paid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's a really great program to do. It's a really great option to do the 5+1. It's funny that both of you are here. We do have another student, Celia, but we can't hear her for some reason. But to have 2 males and 1 female. So because in education, the number of males is very low. So I'm really, really excited that I have 2 of you, 2 males in my call today. That was awesome. I want to just give you hands, because one of the things that I wanted to say was that, as you could see, education is one of those careers that it's, despite of a crisis like that, you're always going to have a job. So it's a really great, it's a really great career choice. And from here, the opportunities really open up. Once you get your bachelor's, you could go into teaching. After a few years of teaching, you could go into becoming a principal or superintendent or a district leader. But you can also say, you know what, I want to go into the ed tech world and do education related technologies or support people that are using those technologies with my teaching background. So, it could lead you into an enormous number of ways that you could work. You could work in private schools, in public schools, in juvenile detention centers, online tutoring. You could work pretty much anywhere that the global world is taking us. You could go and study abroad and then get a job teaching abroad. So the possibilities are really wide. And of course, teachers get the summer off, so that's a little bonus for us, right? So I think when you come here, I really want you to kind of explore all those options, okay? Some of our students are even taking courses in criminal justice and learning about Title IX, and they could potentially then decide to go to law school. Or we have other students who came in and knew that they wanted to be a speech and language therapist or guidance counselors, and this teaching background would really set you well to collaborate and work in schools and work with teachers as well. So I think those are some of the ideas that I wanted to just kind of put a little bit into your minds, that yes, you're coming for teaching, but teaching is going to open a window of opportunities in your professional career. I also wanted to know if maybe Laura could share about the Antigua trip, which is a shoulder-to-shoulder trip, which means that we go for a short amount of time, but we go to do some service work. And we have, in particular, been going to Antigua in the Caribbean in the first week of January, which is fantastic. We take 15 students and we go and teach at a school there. So Laura, do you want to share a little bit about that? Do you feel comfortable?
So I actually haven't attended the Antigua trip, but I do have a lot of friends that went, and they really just loved the whole experience.
Yeah, so they leave on a Sunday. Laura, I thought you had gone, but you're doing so many other things on campus that I didn't have time to do that. So you take a full education course in the fall, and you work with our leading faculty, Professor Hartman, and you communicate with the Antigua teachers and students in the fall. And then the first or second week of January, you all fly down with lots of books and a lot of materials and lessons created to go and teach in Antigua in a public school for a week there. And in the evenings, you also get to have a little bit of fun. So you go out snorkeling and to a place where they have manta rays, or what do you call them? Whatever. A little snorkeling there. You eat the local food and you do kind of island things while everybody's in the middle of the snow.
That's awesome.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Right.
So the other opportunities our students have taken advantage of is studying abroad. So we have had, I'm sorry, my throat is a little bit dry. Laura, do you know anybody who studied abroad that you could speak about?
I do. So my friend Christina Tomasik is currently a senior, and she just returned from studying abroad 2 semesters ago.
Yeah.
I believe, do you remember where she went, Dr. Rinaldi?
She was in Australia? I think she was in Australia.
Maybe. Her, as well as my friend Sam, who's also a senior, they both went abroad, and just really, I think they feel like it rounded out their whole experience to have that opportunity to really experience just other cultures can really help you as an educator too, coming back and kind of understanding the differences between different places, as well as just having that experience of seeing a new place for the first time and kind of learning about their culture. You get to, obviously you're taking classes while you are in that other country. So it's kind of like a different point of view that you might not get in the United States or at Lasell necessarily.
Nice.
Yeah. Samantha was also in Australia, and she visited one of the schools there. So that was a really great experience. I'm sorry, I'm having a coughing attack, so give me 1 second. We've also had students that have studied abroad in Spain and in England. So that's also some other locations. And we also had a student who went to South Africa. So there's a lot of options of where you could go if that's something that you wanted to try out. We also have an ice skating rink. Laura, do you want to talk about our ice skating rink on campus?
Yes, so we have, what it is it's a tennis court when it's nice out and it's spring. And then during the summer, they actually turn the tennis court into an ice rink. And it's kind of right next to Campus Center. So that's a lot of fun when they first open it. They had a big event this year. And people can use it at any time. I know we have a couple of guys on campus that really enjoy hockey and they go over, do that. And some people will just go. One of the nice things about Newton or Lasell being a residential campus in Newton is there are a lot of kids in the area, a lot of families that live there. So a lot of times you'll even see kind of families using the ice rink. And it's just a really cool aspect of campus.
Nice.
Any other questions that you guys might have in terms of maybe going to Boston or things you do in the weekends? Laura would be an expert in that area. I wouldn't, but I'll be happy to answer those, or I could answer questions about courses or minors or sports on campus or things of that sort. David, take it.
I had a question about a minor in sports management with the 4+1 program.
Mm-hmm.
Is that doable or not so much?
That's a good question, David. So I would say when I start hearing students say that they are looking for a 4+1 and they want a minor in like kind of a different area like sports management or, kind of business oriented, it makes me want to ask you what you want to do, where do you see yourself? And most often what I find is if you wanted to do that, you probably would prefer to teaching at a private school where you could do the sports management side of it or run programs in sports. So I'd like to get to know you a little bit more because our program that is not licensure based, it's the curriculum and instruction program, allows for more flexibility with courses. And so it would be much easier for you to do the curriculum and instruction program, your sports management minor, and then if you wanted to do the 4+1, get one licensure in the 5th year program rather than at the undergraduate level. The licensure is only for public school teaching, but your education degree is for private school teaching or after school programming or other careers that are not within the public school setting. So, and then the 5th year would give you the licensure, so you could have all 3 options open to you in that sense. We had a student who recently graduated, Eric Bordeaux, who is now sports director at a private school. I'm blanking on the name right now. And he teaches science middle school and as the sports director there. He started as a coach and teacher in one private school and then moved to another private school, now sports director at that particular private school. So that could be one venue that you might want to consider. If you wanted to consider coaching in public schools, then I would say we do have, you would be able to take a small group of classes, probably no more than 3, which wouldn't account for a minor in sports management. Or we could take a couple of courses in the summer of requirements and then be able to fit all the sports management minor ones and still stay within your elementary. So there's a lot of options to reorganize and do it.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. Yeah. Under the sports coaching and health management and personal training and athletic training. So there's a lot of options that you could go between education and all those particular careers. So I think when you come here, you could really, talk to others and talk to the faculty and see how we could build some, training with your education, and then within the field that maybe is more something of your interest around sports-oriented areas. Okay. Sacred, did you have any questions as well?
No questions yet.
No questions yet? Okay, so I'm gonna, if you have 4 more minutes, I'll keep you on. How about that? Laura, funnest thing you've done, go. In 4 years.
Ooh, in 4 years?
Those are quick answers, come on, girl.
Oh my goodness. Funnest thing I've done. I think my favorite thing that I'm involved with on campus is probably the drama club. Or actually, I think my favorite thing that I'm involved with on campus is orientation. Laser link orientation is my favorite thing. That's why I've hung on for so long. And it's just your first time to meet new students, and like getting to see first years come in and then like really find your identity on campus is my favorite thing.
You could both be assured that you will be meeting Laura in this round if you're an entering first year student.
For sure, I will be at your orientation.
So Laura, the most difficult class you've taken. Quick.
Most difficult class is probably the sheltered English immersion class that I took last semester. It's just a lot of content, teaching students who aren't as experienced in English is a really complex thing to learn about, and the lesson plans are very long, but definitely worth it. And I got like a certificate out of it. So
yeah, you get
hard but love it.
Endorsement, yeah.
Endorsement, that's the word. I couldn't think of it.
What's the funnest class you've had?
Ooh, the funnest class is either Ed 206 or Ed 208 with Professor Maynard. It's a literature-based course, and it's just really fun. She uses a lot of hands-on activities, and she's just wonderful. I love Professor Maynard.
Okay, 2 more, Laura. 2 more. What was the hardest thing about living with somebody your first year?
Living with someone. So I had never shared a room before. So I think just adjusting to, my brother's significantly older than me. So just adjusting to sharing a room. I had a triple my first year. So being in kind of one space with 2 other people, but you definitely get used to it. And you kind of, set your boundaries, and it all works out.
And the best part about having a roommate?
Best part about having a roommate is just always having someone to talk to if you want to. I have lived with my best friend on campus the past 2 years, and it's just always nice to kind of be able to have someone there and still have your own space when you need to. But like, if you want to talk, there's just kind of someone to be like, hey, you want to grab dinner right now? Like, you want to go to 1851? Or like, there's a basketball game. Just kind of like a convenient friend.
Nice.
Okay, you pass. A+, Laura. A+ for today.
Goodness.
What do you guys think? David and Sacred, what would you give her, an A?
Yes, definitely. A++.
Good. Any other questions before we go today?
I don't.
No, thank you so much, though, for all the information.
All right.
Thank you guys so much.
If you guys have any other questions, my email is on our webpage, or you could go through the admissions, and I would be happy to hop on the phone or on Zoom and answer any questions your parents may have, or if you have a question about anything, or I could even bring in Laura in if you want to meet with the 2 of us again. Anything like that you are unsure about, just let us know, and if hopefully we'll see you in the fall. We're really excited to have 2 men. That's exciting.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
All right.